Bakken, located in Klampenborg, Denmark, is the oldest amusement park in the world. Dating back to 1583, before the concept of an amusement park even existed, I was expecting something more reminiscent of Tivoli Gardens in downtown Copenhagen. But instead of an old-time feel, I actually found a ride lineup and atmosphere that seemed to fuse classic and modern. This was a mix mash I was a fan of because it's really rare to come by. And I enjoyed it so much, in fact, that I'd actually take this park over Tivoli Gardens, but that's a topic for another day. In this video, I'll be ranking each of this park's 5 roller coasters up against each other. I will warn you guys that this will be a shorter video than normal because 5 coasters is the minimum amount that I'll rank in one single amusement park, but Bakken has such an interesting collection that I decided it would be a worthwhile video regardless. If you're visiting this park for the very first time and are using these rankings as a reference point for what you should ride, don't forget that there's also some terrific flat rides as well as some great restaurants and a unique atmosphere that's worth soaking in. Bakken has so much more to offer than just the roller coasters. But for now, here's how I rank the following 5 rides up against each other. Starting this list at number 5 is Marion. This little Tivoli coaster is the park's smallest roller coaster and ironically was the first I experienced when I arrived at Bakken. The ride has trains that resemble a ladybug, hence the name, which translates to ladybug in English. This is common for many Zero Tivolis, especially the really tiny ones. With that being said, this coaster was strangely fun for being so small. First of all, the lift hill was ridiculously fast to the point where it almost feels like it's launching you over the top. Second, the ride is crammed into a very tight space and there's practically another layer of pathway built on top of it which supports a little Ferris wheel. Third, I absolutely love the 2 Danish flags at the front of the train, a true testament to this park's pride. Number 4 is Vitamus. Also called Wild Mice in English, this coaster is exactly what it sounds like. A mock rides wild mouse coaster that for some reason rides a lot better or just feels generally better than other rides like it. I can't exactly put my finger on why, but Vitamus is probably one of the better wild mouse coasters I've ridden. Some things I did notice were how few trims it ran with, how smooth it was, and also how it has individual lap bars and magnetic braking, which is unlike most other mock wild mouse coasters. For having such a simple layout, this was a very pleasant time. Number 3 is Rushabanen. This ride is often compared to Tivoli Gardens Rushabanen, which yes has many similarities and is a better coaster by far. But that doesn't discount the nostalgic feel of this 1932 classic. Now it is a shame that Bakken removed the brakeman, as that really made the one at Tivoli Gardens in my opinion. If they brought back that feature, there's no doubt in my mind that this would be the number 2 ride on this list. Instead, Bakken opted to rely on trim brakes to manage the speed of this coaster recently, which is unfortunate because it causes the pacing to be virtually non-existent on the turns. The saving grace for Rushabanen are the combination of 3 things that I really like. First, the texture of the track really does feel ancient, and that's something I love about both of the scenic railway coasters in Denmark. Incorporating an extremely fast cable lift hill is also such a unique aspect of this ride. It's a great way to build anticipation and is very rare in totality. Second, Rushabanen happens to have 2 double downs that are actually really fun in the back row. These elements almost look unsafe on ride, but sure enough you take them at an appropriate speed to where you get some lift out of your seat and it feels totally natural. Last, but certainly not least, the final tunnel on this ride is interpreted to be the inside of a vagina, as you can see by the cardboard cutout of a woman spreading her legs open. If that doesn't scream Europe, I don't know what does. Overall, Rushabanen may not reach its maximum potential, but there's still plenty to like about it that I think many coaster enthusiasts choose to overlook. Number 2 is Mine Train Olden. This intimate family coaster blew my expectations away and even became one of the biggest surprises of the European road trip. I knew beforehand that the ride existed, but I didn't know anything about the layout and I didn't even know it was an intimate. I assumed it was done by Zero or something. Mine Train Olden was ridiculously zippy and felt like a bat out of hell, yet it only stands 60 feet tall at its max. First of all, I don't know if it's the crest leading into the first drop or just the first drop in its entirety, but something about this feels steep beyond belief because you cannot see any of the drop coming when you're on the ride. There's literally no way to brace for it, and I had no idea it was going to fly straight through a tunnel, so that was one heck of a near miss. This is also the first section of the ride where you really get close to some of the plant life and foliage that this coaster was built around, or should I say within. The vast majority of this ride's layout cannot be seen from off-ride because it stays mostly low to the ground, weaving in and around these leaves, and you really feel like you'll whack them if you put your hands out. Because of the compact nature of Mine Train Olden, the pacing is also fantastic, and because of the speed at which you take these elements, there are some totally unexpected airtime and lateral forces. It blows my mind that I had never heard a single coaster enthusiast mention this ride prior to riding it. The closest comparison I'd like to make is to Wild Train at Phantasiana in Austria. While I have yet to ride this coaster, everyone says its airtime and laterals are insane relative to its size, and I think it's clear when you watch the off-ride footage of it. Now, I'm sure it's not anywhere close to the level of Wild Train, but the wow factor I got from Mine Train Olden compared to the practically no expectations and minimalistic stats I saw was a major surprise. And while we're going on about surprises, Bakken's number 1 roller coaster, Tornado, is insane. I'm sure most of you have seen our vlog from Bakken where we rode Tornado many times in a row, not because we wanted to, but because we were forced to. The ride operators literally would not let us leave and would progressively make the ride crazier every cycle. If you're wondering how they were able to do that, Tornado features a mode called Boost Mode. By activating Boost Mode, the ride ops need to stop the moving loading station and deactivate the brakes, speed the launch lift hill, and spin the vehicle out of the station. This was not by request. I actually had no idea Boost Mode existed until they told us they were going to make the ride more insane. I think my chest-mounted GoPro and my commentary attracted their attention, but if you see a blonde guy with a ponytail, don't feel hesitant to ask. He is absolutely awesome. Him and this other ride-up literally high-fived each other when they saw how fast we were spinning. I can't describe how ridiculous Tornado feels when it's on Boost Mode. It immediately became my favorite coaster in Denmark, and it's one of the most memorable rides in Europe. The funny thing is, regular Tornado rides are still pretty crazy and would rank at number 1 regardless, but amplifying this ride's intensity gives it a landslide win, and I'm so glad I had the chance to experience it. But anyways, that's how I rank all 5 roller coasters at Bakken in Klampenborg, Denmark. I really tried to put greater emphasis than usual on what I personally like about these rides and what I would do to improve them. Despite having a smaller coaster collection, there's much more to talk about than what first meets the eye, and I'm glad I could reveal my thoughts for you guys. Bakken is a treasure that not enough enthusiasts talk about, but I believe if you visit Denmark for amusements, it would be criminal to skip this park. I personally know a guy who visited the country with the intention of skipping this park due to time constraints, but I was able to convince them to split their day at Tivoli Gardens for a couple hours at Bakken, and they agree that it was the better park. So take that information as you will. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give me a like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out. Thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more content like this coming in the future. Bye guys.
What's the name of the YouTube channel?
Coaster Dash. Coaster Dash, one word, I'll show you.